Up, it's washed out Grizz Monday, where I look lighter than always for some reason, because it only happens on Mondays. But I'm back, Vinland Saga. Episode 14. We finally got up here. Nice. I'm worried. I'm very worried. There's like 18 different routes we can go with what's about to happen here. This episode could be very telling for that. While I don't believe we're going to end up seeing Cattell and all the others arrive for maybe another episode or two, this one could be very telling to the direction that will go when they do arrive finally. What exactly happens with Arne's husband and what happens with Snake and Sparkle, and if people die and if people will be angry, such as Einer, or what's going to happen. And I'm very nervous and I don't want to know what's going to happen, but I really do at the same time. So we're going to have to watch and find out. If you like it all, hit the like and subscribe. They do mean a lot to me. Feel free to stick around for the discussion and leave any comments down below about this episode or the series in general. Get going with episode 14. All right, let's go. Let's go. Freedom. His freedom or our freedom? The two of you? Who's the other one? And they're about to be broken. That's the kid we've been seeing in the OP and ED? I don't know what happened to that. That's the other one he was talking about. Is the kid dead or just not here and he's gonna fucking lose his shit when he finds out? Not happening, brother. I know this is okay. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Okay, it was the horse he hit. It was the horse. I didn't know what he hit. I thought he fucking cut her arm. She's very important to Cattell, so you cannot just let that happen. If he killed one of our men, it's only right. We enact revenge. But is that the route we should be taking? Nope. Yeah. What difference does it make? No, 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 no. Yes. Please. He's okay with it. Yeah. That's not the right thing to do. Am I supposed to just sit here and watch? Yeah. Let's see what Snake's about. Okay. Wow. Hey, he's no bum like all these other guys who come onto the farm and you fight. I was just feeling him out. He's that fucking different, dude. There's no telling what an enraged man will do. Those are your words, aren't they? Yeah, it'd be different if he didn't. Very important to him. But Snake's just doing what he has to. Literally what his job is here to do. Relax, relax, relax. I know you're deep in thought, buddy, but relax. Ooh.
どうにもならないことってあるわ。
She's just accepting the fate.
そういう時は何もしない方がいいの。じっとして嵐が過ぎるのを待つの。
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you have to take the action, though.
たとえヘビさんたちとやり合うことになっても何もしないよりマシだ。そうだろドルフィン。
That goes against everything he's been going for, though.
ドルフィン力を貸してくれ。
Now you're asking
俺が見張りを引きつけ
him.
るからお前は。
私はお鍋のせいで息子を失いました。少し私のことをお
Please.
話しさせていただけますか。
And what is POTS?
息子が1歳の頃、遠い森の奥に鉄の取れる沼地が見つかって、いくつかの勢力の間でその沼地の所有権をめぐって争いが起きました。話し合いました。
So similar in a way to how
戦い
Einer's
に
trying
参加
to
するか否か。
convince Thorfinn if they should
勝て
fight or
ば
not.
鉄が手に入ります。
What do you gain versus what do you lose? Weigh the risk and reward.
男たちの下した決断は参加でし、男たちの決定を女が覆すことはできません。どうして入りもしない者のために命を懸けるの。
アルネイズいるのだ。西のイングベは野心の強い男だ。奴の一族が鉄を手にすれば一帯の均衡は崩れるだろう。村も豊かになるのだ。
So different too. Like he's so different. See how peaceful and calm he's coming off here.
守るためなら一緒にいてくれればいいのに。
But why was it that he had to go? Because he wanted you to have a better life.
若い男は皆戦へ赴き、残された女と子供は家を。男たちが帰ってきたのだと思いました。
No.
でもそれは家は焼かれ、老いた者は殺され、女は船に乗せられ連れ去られました。私はヤルティを。
He was gone, so he doesn't even know. She still hasn't even told him.
ザルザルに会って彼を恐ろしいと
What
感
he'd
じまし
become.
た。
He was so different.
きっとたくさんの苦しみが
Right.
彼を変えてしまったのでしょう。今は彼こそが嵐そのものです。
Yeah. That's why she was so put off by him, too.
今度こそ私は男たちの嵐から子供を守らなければなりません。
コード
つい先日分かりました。今私のお腹にはケティル様のお子がいます。
Oh.
旦那様はきっとこの子を歓迎してくれるでしょう。子供を欲しがっていらしたから。
Bound to happen.
この農場ならきっと平和に健やかにこの子を育てる。
So she's trying to protect what she has now.
嵐が過ぎ去るまで この
I wonder if Sphyrkle has anything to say about that.
嵐が過ぎるのを待つんじゃなかったのか、アルネイズ。
Where you going?
聞いていらしたんですか、大旦那様。
She just doesn't want to put anybody else in harm's way.
わしがすっかり猛録したと思っとるようじゃが、まだまだ正気じゃ。あなた
図の手当てだけでも
She's scared.
わかるんです。
Hmm.
もう会うべきではないと。
But she can't help it.
どうして。
わしもかつてじっと耐えて嵐をやり過ごしたことがある。いや、隠れておったのだ。ケティル、 息子は同郷の美しい娘と愛し合っておった。
Mm.
その娘が近隣で力を伸ばしていたエッベという男に見初められてしまい、わしらは苦しい決断を迫られた。ケティルは娘を守るために戦いも辞さない覚悟だった。だが我らの力は当時まだ小さく、
Can't even protect yourselves. Why can you protect others?
我らの下した決断は服従だった。ノルドの男が聞いて呆れる。わ
Mhm.
しは保身のために一人の娘を差し出し、
Is that what he would want? Arne's husband, that is. Would he want her to give herself up? He took his revenge.
エッベの富を妬み憎しみを抱いた男の仕業だった。
なぜいつもこんなことばか
A circle of life.
嵐はやり過ごすことはできても、
Absolutely.
傷跡は残していくということだ。
Mhm. Impossible to regret.
つまんな、力になれ
I think the
な
health's plenty. It's time to make your decision.
す
Yep,
ぐ戻ります。
good. Somebody's gonna be there already, aren't they? Also, aren't they gonna have 5 dudes on watch? How the hell? What a ride of an episode that was. And firstly, I guess I apologize if I really didn't say anything in that back half. I don't know if I did or not, but I was just trying to take it all in and understand what was happening. And it was kind of difficult to get some words out while I was doing it. Essentially, just the story here is more of the same, right? It's more of the horror and truth to how the Vikings have acted and how these men have just come in and completely burned down villages with every one of our characters basically involved here, and how they've taken others and sold people into slavery and taken children and set them up on a path to become warriors over time and increase their strength in their armies. And it's no different for Arnade here, who we find out loses her son to the same exact thing and loses herself essentially to the same thing and becomes a slave as a result. And there's a lot of just powerful moments and emotions that go throughout this, with Sparkle trying to relate to Arnade and her giving her backstory and making sure that others can understand, you know, the reasons why she doesn't want people like Honor to get involved and lose themselves. And then even just the scene with Thorfinn trying to calm Einar down and asking if he's prepared basically to kill a man and if he could really take on that burden that would have to come along with it. And just a lot of stuff kind of went into it that made it like, damn, like what the fuck? But we knew this was going to happen. I mean, I said it at the beginning, this is not going to be a good one. Like, this is going to be very, very, very stressful, and it's not going to be a good thing to deal with. And every character is going to have a different reaction to things, and they're all going to have problems, and it's a lot. I mean, I think the only person who kind of went in a direction that felt very different from what I was expecting was Einar. I was expecting him to kind of lose himself and be more so pissed about the fact that she had a husband, and then later on finding out about a child and stuff. But he seemed more just wanting to free her and see her be able to be happy and not have to be restrained anymore. And which is really good to see. It's really cool to see, actually, because it's not something I expected, but it is something that just shows the true nature of his character and how much he really just does care for others and want others to be involved and have things that are happy. And even if it means losing and not being involved with the one that he seems to love right now, it easily doesn't matter to him. He just immediately is thinking, how can I reconnect her with her husband and her child, and how can I do something that can handle that, whether it has to be go against other people or take a life of someone else. I want to do what I can in my power to dive right in here and do that. And it was great to see that, actually. As we see Arnade there in the early half, when her husband's trying to basically get her back and try and get her on the horse so they can get out of here and they can run away together and try and live and be free. I was immediately noticing kind of how she didn't look like she was very, like, she looked scared in a way, but it didn't make any sense to me yet as to why this might have been. due to the fact that she's the one who reached out and she's the one who called out for him, as if she wanted to, like, you know, make him know that she was there and like this is her husband at the end of the day. Like, why would she do that if this is something that she's trying to run from and hide from? So why did she look so scared when she saw him? I mean, we later on find out that's because he wasn't like this at all. And this is a complete different changed man who has had all these years to kind of be changed by war that he's had to go through, becoming a slave, and just the things that fuel him and the rage that drives him. And that's, as Snake said before, you know, what there's no telling what an enraged man will do. And despite him and all of his wounds that we see that he's been taking on for these days, probably lugging himself and everything else through the lands and stuff trying to find her, he's still able to kill multiple, like one of his men, and still not be able to really take any hits by his other men. And that's because he's somebody who is so enraged by this, you know, that he's doing everything in his power to absolutely change who he is and get to the people that he wants to protect and he wants to be with. Einar immediately getting pissed when he sees Snake go forward and trying to stop Arnheid from being able to connect with her husband and be able to run away and get free was a really, really big moment for me, being able to see that, because as I just said before, I wasn't expecting that in the slightest. And I actually was just expecting him to be very angry and not happy with, you know, this new discovery and finding this out, and kind of just ruins this ideal perfect world that he has in his mind of what he wants to do when he becomes free and wants to be with her and stuff like that. And he is just focused on that idea of actually just getting her free, and he's not necessarily worried about whether he's involved in that picture or not, and he just wants her to be happy. Kind of crazy for me. I mean, and that's probably something I should have seen. I just don't know why I didn't take it that way at all with his character. So that's probably a big oversight on me through the entirety of this series for not viewing him as that type of person. But he really is a good dude for trying to go out of his way and do that, trying to get Thorfinn on his side here and trying to immediately just push out and stop Snake and everybody else from doing this, being like, we'll deal with that later, let's just get them free, get them returned home. And Thorfinn having to try and build up the courage and stop him and restrain him and ask him the tough questions of, can you kill a man? Like, what, why would you do this? Like, is that something that you can do? Are you prepared to carry this burden? Are you prepared to carry the weight of what comes along with having to take another life? If he does have to step in and he does have to kill Snake, or he has to do something like that to allow him to get free, because at the end of the day, it's not just Snake, he's going to have to kill the other two dudes that are with him as well. It's a minimum of 3 guys he's going to have to get rid of to, you know, set this straight. It's a lot to take on, and somebody who's been on that other side and has seen it and had to deal with that and has to now deal with the trauma that comes along with that, it's a lot for you to take on. Can you be prepared? Can you put yourself in that situation? And it's not easy in the slightest to do. And as we literally saw an episode ago with Olmar, after killing his first one, seemed to be in complete shock and complete just a different state of mind where he is not happy at all in the slightest. And he can't really live with himself because of what he just caused and what he did to that guy, even if it was unintentional. Good, enjoyable fighting scene between Snake and Godar. It's not, you know, the greatest thing in the world, because Godar himself can't really fight, but that's okay because he's, you know, hurt and everything. So Snake uses that to his advantage, which is cool to see. He's not just dumb. He pays attention to what he can do and takes him out and gets the easy stuff that he can and uses that so that he can take him alive and they can restrain him and have people on watch, but they can also use him to gain information from him, I guess. And I don't know necessarily what they want to find out. I mean, he openly would probably admit to the crimes that he did just cause, so maybe they are just holding on to him and letting Cattell and others decide what to do. Something else actually though is Snake also holding on and forcing Arnheid to not be captured, specifically because he is aware of how important she is to Cattell and how important she is to keep around because of that, and how angry and upset and lost he would probably feel if he had to go through and end up lose her. It's a big deal, and that's why she is so important for them to hold on to. It's very different if somebody like Thorfinn and Einar were the one that they were coming for. He honestly probably wouldn't care too much. I'm not gonna lie. I really think Snake's that kind of person where he fully understands his role and his position, and losing somebody of Arnheid's caliber, especially her importance to Cattell, it means way too much for him to be like, I can just let her go without any issues, you know, especially for the fact that this is a guy who's also killed other men, and he came here after killing them and broke away and, you know, didn't abide by his own rules and stuff, and he's not safe, he's dangerous to be around for that reason. So you have to take precaution and do what you can to get rid of him, or to stop him at least. And are being absolutely pissed afterwards and wanting to come up with some sort of plan and get Thorfinn on his side, and he's trying to persuade him in a way to go out there and at night sneak in and try and rescue him and set them both free. It's a lot, especially somebody like Thorfinn who's completely been rid of violence now and trying to see this new outlook and this new version of his life and start new, having to be kind of dragged into it by somebody else, especially somebody else who hasn't had to experience this before, and he doesn't want to see this pure-hearted person turn into what he has been before, right? And it's a lot for Thorfinn to take on just to have to hear this as well. But Arne kind of shutting down what Einar wants to do and not letting that happen at all by telling him basically that sometimes there's things that you just can't change. Sometimes there's like things that you don't want to dive into. In this situation, she uses a storm as her example, basically, of not wanting to immediately dive in and go after her husband. And we get to learn basically here why she's so afraid when she first saw him and why she couldn't just reach and extend her hand out to him. Because of the fact that he is so different, as we see in the OP, and we're later going to see in flashbacks and stuff, how different and how gentle and caring he seemed to be with him or with her and their son, and how different and how things have changed over the years, and he's a completely different person essentially now. And whether it could just be because he's been away for so long and then he'll change, no problem once he gets back to what he wants, but for the time being, he's not in a good spot and not a spot that she can feel comfortable seeing him at. And came as a big shock for her, trying to shut down Einar and essentially tell him like there's no need for you to go out of your way and lose yourself or lose your life or put yourself at risk and enter into the storm and deal with that. Sometimes you just have to accept the way that things are, let things pass, and then maybe things will work themselves out by the end, or you can take a chance later on, but right now you have to just let it go by. And it's her way to kind of persuade and make him be like, dude, please do not make this more than it needs to be, and this isn't your battle to be fighting in the first place, right? We get some backstory between her as well, where she gives out a bit of info about where she's been and what has happened and what her relationship with her husband was like, and how things were so good and how caring and kind and stuff he was, but at the same time, and how things were going so well with them and their family, and I think their son was like 1 or something at the time, and then some things came up and they basically had to make a decision if they want to go out and they want to fight and they want to take things back and be able to put their family in a better position for life, or if they want to sit back and let them come to them and figure out where you have to go from there, and maybe time will be too late then. And he made that decision then to enter the storm and go out and fight, which ultimately didn't go well when the returning people were not him and not the people who left out and set out originally, and it's people to come in and pillage the village and take all of the women and everything that they can, right? But she's seen that side of it. She's been on that side where she understands what it's like to enter in and have to fight that battle, and you can almost regret it in a way, because she can look back and be like, what if he just stayed? What if none of them left in the first place? What if would we have been happy? Would things be okay by then? Would they have come to the village anyways? But would we be protected? Because would they have been able to fight when they arrived here? Like, what would happen? And it's all these what ifs. And it just makes you be like, damn, like maybe we did make a mistake of what he ended up setting out to do, because ultimately it did ended up costing them all of their relationship and their village and their freedom and their child at the end of the day. The realization of being like, maybe it is better to sit back and not charge in, comes specifically from the fact that we find out that she is carrying Catel's son right now, which is a very, very big deal. Apparently Catel's been wanting one for a while, and we know how much he thinks highly of her and how much he, loves having her around, and how he feels he can be open around her as well. So it's a very big deal that that's the case. But in this situation, she's looking at, I've already lost one of my kids. What am I going to do now if I put myself in danger right now and things go bad and I end up having to lose myself, and now I'm going to have to take another life with my own kid at this point? Is that something I want? Is that really, the situation I want to put myself in? Absolutely not. So sits back instead and lets things pass, where then she basically gets Einar to agree to sit back and just let things pass or not take it upon himself. A little bit later, and the night passes, we see her prepping some stuff and essentially start walking out the door, where Sverkel speaks up and talks about, thought that you were going to let the storm pass, showing that despite the words that she puts up and the front she put up, she just doesn't want to see other people get put in the harm's way and lose themselves or their lives out of this and have to put themselves in more danger. And she's willing to take on this burden and have to take on the risks that come along with trying to go see her husband. Despite her, everything that she just said, she's essentially lying to herself at the end of the day. It's a very, very tough spot for her to put herself in. And then Sverkel kind of just gives us some story, essentially, on himself, where he's been at in the past in a situation very similar that happened to him and happened to the fact that he gave up a woman basically to ensure safety of him and others around him, and how cowardly he might feel because of that, and how he still doesn't know to this day if that would be the right decision or not, because you don't know, what came out of it and what could have been happened otherwise, right? Ultimately just letting her make that decision exactly where she wants to go now, though, and telling her, sometimes it is better to let it pass, but sometimes you don't know, and you have to put yourself in that situation and go right through the storm and fight. And that's the decision that she's going to make. It's not going to end well. We know that's not going to end well. He has guards and people watching him over right now, and it will not end well in the slightest. But it's a decision that she feels she needs to make, and if she does, it's the correct one to do at the end of the day, especially after she's talked it through with other people and thought about it so many times. It's the right thing to do. Excited to see where this goes. Very excited. Very tough episode to get through. Very, very excited. If you like it all, hit the like, subscribe. You mean a lot to me. Follow me on Twitter, my anime list. Both links are in the description. Leave any comments about the episode or series in general. Check out the other videos on the channel. I'll be back next week. See ya.